A few weeks ago, I heard a teaching from one of the great Jewish sages of the 20th century, who gave the following deeply practical advice. He said, if you, a Jewish person, is ever getting ready to speak to a crowd of your co-religionists, if you're ever trying to figure out how to start your speech, title your Devar Torah, figure out what you'll speak about to government officials, come up with a fundraising appeal, figure out the title of a class, come up with a seminar you've barely planned, anything really, you can always go to this, use these words, use this title. Here it is, Judaism at the Crossroads. It's funny, because it's true. It always feels like we are at the crossroads, a historic moment in unprecedented times, and wouldn't you know it, we have an even older title for that feeling too. It's the name of this book of the Torah, this week's Parsha, Bamidbar, in the wilderness. I've been to the wilderness, actually, not only the metaphorical one, but also the very physical one, as a younger man studying in Israel. On one unforgettable day, we went on tiyul, on walkabout in the southern Negev, near the narrow part of Israel where you can look to your east and see Egypt, you can look to the west and see Jordan. That same biome of wilderness that our ancestors walked through in this section of the Torah. And it was a cloudy day, uniquely cloudy. In fact, the clouds were heavy, low to the ground, and there were warnings of flash floods. And so as a result, my friends, my classmates, my teachers, and I, we were sticking to the higher paths that would be safe in a sudden storm. Flash floods in the Negev sweep away the wadis. They transform the very face of the land. They are incredibly lethal. And the hike was dreamlike. We were walking at the tops of seemingly identical cliffs and at the ancestral and at the edges of ravines that we could have sworn we had already passed. The sky was in fact so low that at any moment we felt like we could walk into a cloud. And I will never forget this sound as long as I live. Suddenly there was a boom, a whoosh, a movement that left a feeling so sharp it could have been a scream. It was like a crackling thunder that I have never heard before, and it blasted through the clouds, and it was stunning, and it was confusing. And only after we heard it several times, repeating again and again, did our guide explain to us what it was. The Israeli Air Force practicing radar evasion drills directly above our heads, buzzing impossibly low to the ground, maybe just a few hundred feet above us. But the clouds were lower still, and we could not see them. And my teacher, Rabbi Michael Hatton, turned to me and he said, this is what it was like for our ancestors, walking in the wilderness beneath the pillar of cloud, with angels above, forces they could not see but knew were there. This is what it means to walk on earth but touch heaven. This can only happen here. And by here he meant the wilderness. And he was right. Anywhere else that story is impossible, but not in the wilderness. The wilderness is filled with such moments. It is a transitory place, a befuddling place, a hostile, beautiful place. If you don't know it well, it all looks exactly the same. And if you do know it well, think again, because here comes the flash flood that changes it forever. In such a mutable land, the ancient Israelites raised flags, standards, as a way of establishing pockets of stability and normality by putting a single unchanging symbol into an ever-changing place. The Israelites shall camp each with their standard under the banner of their ancestral house. They shall camp around the tent of meeting at a distance, says the Torah. The tents move. The people move. The entire civilization keeps moving. But when it comes time to set it all down again, because of those standards, because of those flags, because they put the banners up at the exact same distance from that central hub of Jewish life, we have stability. The camp is always the same, no matter where in the ever-changing wilderness the camp is, or who in the ever-changing Israelite people is putting it up. Rabbi Hankot Tziv of Bendazin, a rabbi from the 1800s, understood the flags to have a much deeper meaning than that, though. He said, it's not just about keeping order and creating stability in a mixed-up world. It's about finding your place, your special role in a mixed-up world. He taught, and I quote, "Learn from the banners. Every person can find their spot. Every person has a destiny. Every person has a role which is special, unique to them. That is what the Torah is saying. The children of Israel shall yearn for their banners." Because everyone craves to find that special spot. Have faith. Every living being eventually comes into their own place and their own role and fulfills their own destiny. And Rabbi Mark Asher Goodman, who is a contemporary rabbi, responds, saying, every person stands with their banner, every person has a place in the universe, and you may not have found it yet. God made us to stand at a specific place at a specific time. And God wouldn't make us to be without purpose. Everyone that lives is essential. And so are our skills, so is our way of being, each of us, and our specific skills, our specific ways are essential to creation itself. And if you are thinking to yourself right now, well, that's not how I feel. That's not how I feel at my school. Or maybe that's not how I feel at my work. Maybe that's not how I even feel in my life. Please don't give up. You may not feel it right now, but that does not mean that you are an unessential person. This is a process. You're just between banners. You're just between flags. You haven't found your stable place yet, the banner by which you should be standing. But it has been raised. Your flag is out there. Your cause is waiting for you. All you have to do is find it. And the great act of faith is knowing that you will one day. The act of being part of the Jewish people is believing that we all will one day. And that's the teaching of the Bendazin Rebbe, that as we work our way through this great wilderness called life, that each of us one day finds our way to our banner, our banners that we stand with, the causes, the family, the community, the people, those who give us purpose, the place where we are needed. It's a lovely teaching. And even lovelier that we get to live it. You can, in fact, live it on Sunday. Because on Sunday, we are going to raise a literal banner. It says, Holy Blossom Temple. And on it is that window, the symbol of this sacred place. And this community, Sunday morning, is going to carry that banner down Bathurst Street at the Walk with Israel. It is more important than ever this year to stand with our banner. And the reason is simple. I already told you. Because we're in the wilderness. Judaism is at the crossroads. It's an unstable world. We are unsure of our role and our place. And what are Jews supposed to do when we are unsure? We turn to the Torah. We remember that we have our banners. And our banners are there to help us find our way through the wilderness. Both the literal wilderness and the wilderness outside our door. So when the world is unstable, find your flag. And when you are lost in the wilderness, remember that you are needed and vital, important, unique part of something greater than yourself, that you exist and you have something special to do, to give, to become. Because otherwise, what would be the point? We stand at the crossroads in the wilderness, and the Torah teaches us this week, of all weeks, to read those very words, to know that when we raise our flag, when we stand with it, we are not lost anymore, because we stand with our people. Shabbat Shalom.